Hey, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about this knife today. This is a knife produced by Robeson Cutlery Company, who was the brainchild of Millard F. Ferguson. He started the company, owned the company until he passed away. But as I was looking at this knife, I had a couple thoughts. So, what if the Mona Lisa, the art that was produced by Leonardo da Vinci, could talk? What could it tell us about Leonardo da Vinci? And what about the Sistine Chapel? The ceiling, the inside painted by Michelangelo. What could that tell us about Michelangelo? And if those pieces of art could talk, and what would this knife say about Millard F. Robeson if it could talk? Because it is a work of art. If you'd like to see more about this knife and hear more about Millard F. Ferguson, or I'm sorry, Robeson, go ahead and check out the video.
The river standing with the flowers. Move over that way so you can get more flowers in the picture. Or to the right. Move over this way so the flowers are there.
Hey, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi to all my viewers. Thank you very much for all your support. It just blows me away. I'm inching up there. I may be at 1800 now. I don't know. I'm getting close. But just want to thank you for all your likes, your shares, and your support of the channel. Before I get to talking about this knife, this is a humdinger of a knife. Don't forget, Tuesday, July 30th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have a live show. We're going to be talking about who produced the best knife in the world. America, England, Spain, France, Germany, Italy. Who was it? So that's going to be a rousing discussion. I guarantee you it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see you there. But back to this knife here. This is a large knife. It's 3 5/8 inch sleeve board split back whittler. Just a fantastic knife. And not only is this knife finely built, and by the way, this knife is at least 84 years old, but probably, and I'll explain why I believe this, but I believe it's 100, maybe a little over 100 years old. I'll explain that at the end of the video, but it's just a fantastic example of cutlery from Robeson. And we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but what would this knife say about its owner? So, Millard F. Robeson, you really have to understand where he's come from to understand this knife. In the late 1800s, he was a salesman for Rochester Stamping Works up in New York City. It was a steel company, and he traveled the country selling wares. And one of the things he started doing was selling knives as he was selling these other things. And that really became his passion, selling these knives. And so by 1879, he started selling knives as he went around. And by 1885, he started his own company. So when his experience as a traveling salesman put him in direct contact with retailers who were selling knives, and also with customers who were buying knives. And so he had a keen awareness of what the public was looking for in a knife, and also what retailers were looking for. So when he started his business, Robeson wanted to produce the best knife in the country. Now, that's a pretty tall goal for somebody just starting out who didn't really know anything about knife making, by the way. And you had companies like Northfield, New York Knife Company, and others who were making extremely fine knives. So it was a tall order to fill to think that you could compete with them. Look at these milled liners. They're nickel silver milled liners on here. And the liners, by the way, were milled on the back too. It's largely been rubbed smooth, but here you can still see the faint outline of the milling that was on the back of these liners. A lot of wear on this knife here, but it's also in really good shape. Look at the mirror polish on the inside of that knife. And I think not only has Robeson accomplished what he set out to do in this knife by building the best knife in the world, but a whole lot more. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, about the attributes of this knife. All right. You see here this unusual shield. Most of the shields say Robeson on their knives, and why does this one say Mastercraft? So this was a series of knives that Robeson produced with what they called their Perma Lube technology. So up there in the screen you can see an explanation of that, and this is out of I believe it's a catalog in the 50s, I believe. Somewhere around there, 50, 55, something like that. But what these were, if you look down inside here, this, I don't know whether you can tell it or not. You see the different color there? Let's zoom in. Can you see that it's brass, right? See that? See that different color? It's really hard to pick up in a camera. I know you might be able to see it better than I'm seeing it, but it's a bearing. And so this Perma Lube technology was Robeson put a bearing on the end of the tang so that it would slide smoothly always up underneath the back springs, and it works. And so this is butter smooth. You know, metal gets worn and gets kind of gird up, but this is butter smooth after over 100 years. And Robeson was the first one that did this. So all these knives you're walking around with today that have bearings in them, that wasn't something new after the millennium. The year 2000, where companies were putting bearings in the knife. Robeson put a bearing in the knife back around 1920, 1918, 1920. He did this right here. And these bearings were in, of course, every tang. And that was the whole idea behind the Mastercraft series. Now, this bearing wasn't without problems. Sometimes because of the nature of the tang, this bearing would sometimes come out of contact with the back springs, and they would fall out or break. In fact, this one right here, you can see doesn't have the bearings on the end. You can just see steel there. See that? It's not brass. The bearings have come out on this one right here, and but it's still in there. I also have another Mastercraft that has the bearings in it, but Emerson Case fixed that problem, because what he did is he transferred the bearing from the back of the tang, which is not always under pressure. Sometimes it comes loose, to the underside of the back spring itself. And as the back spring is always in contact with the tang, they never fell out after that. I'm not sure when this series ended. I know, Emerson Case came on in 1940. He fixed that problem, and then I'm not really sure how long that series lasted after then. At least probably to the 50s, probably. But just amazing technology, groundbreaking technology that was being used. Robeson had over 100 patents. So if this knife could talk, it would be telling us how Robeson put his heart and soul into these knives and produced, or at least tried to produce, the best knife in the world. And these knives, these Robeson knives, were awarded best knife in the world in 1920 at the World Fair, along with the Remingtons. But look at the end. So if you're just looking at this knife, you could see there's a joint there where the divider is. This is already magnified, by the way. So if we go up again to higher magnification, you can see how tight that joint is right there. Very, very tight. And you can hardly see where it merges with the spring. And this is under magnification. So when you're just looking at this knife, you can't even see it. You can't even see the joint. And that's the precision that he brought to his knives. And before I forget, let me tell you how I know the age of this knife. You can see right there, it says patent applied for. So that's the patent for the bearings. And this tang stamp ran from 1922 to 1940. So if the patent hadn't been approved already, this knife was one of the first knives produced with these bearings in it. And so this knife would date to the 1920s, at least, maybe 22, maybe 23. They produced the new technology and then put it out, and later it was approved. So this knife, I think, would date to at least 1922. And that's pretty old. That's pretty old. 80, 100, 102 years old. Look at the detail in that shield. See that crossing in the back? Look at that. See how well defined that is? It has depth to it, 3D, in the screen behind the Mastercraft. And another thing is, notice now we've got this really magnified, and this shield, so the bone is severely worn on this. And when this knife was new, this bone was above that shield, and the shield was set down into the bone, but there is no gaps. Even as the bone has worn on this knife, there are still no gaps from where this knife was set down into the bone. That's the kind of precision and remarkable work that Robeson used to do on their knives. just a fantastic piece of history. A gorgeous knife. You can see the spacing in the blades after 102 years. Just incredible work. Incredible knife. So yeah, what would this say? It'd say, well, this Robeson had great passion for knives and tried to produce the best knife in the world. And I think, at this stage, he achieved it. I don't know. What do you think, guys? You think he met his goals? All right. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for your support. And I hope you check out the live show tomorrow. If not, you can look at it later. It's going to be really good. Thanks again.